There's only one place in town I take my Harley Davidson motorcycle to, and that is Slab Sides Motorcycle Shop on Glendale Avenue in Reno. If you're looking for a tune-up, customizing your motorcycle, bars, exhaust, they've got everything you need and one of the best hourly rates in town for any of your motorcycle repair stuff. Go check out Slab Sides Motorcycle Shop. What's up, everybody? September 27th is Street Vibes in Reno, Nevada. And I don't know about you guys, but I miss the way it used to be in downtown Reno, bikes lining the streets. It was an event and people would come out. Well, we're trying to bring that back with the baddest little bike show at Revision Brewery. Come out September 27th at Revision. We've got a FXR, Bagger, Club Style, V-Gloss, Chopper, Metric, cars, vendors, trophies, giveaways, surprise guests, and more. There is nowhere else to be on Saturday Street Vibes than Revision Brewing for the baddest little bike show. Come check it out. This is Jacob, the host of the 4th Street Live podcast, and my new book, The Railrunner, inspired by my life on the railroad and being a railroad contractor, is now for sale on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Please go check out my new story if you're looking to escape reality for a few hours. It's a great read. Support a local Reno author. Thanks so much. Yeah, we got to fucking sit there and hang out, and his little thing is awesome.
Oh, him and Darla?
And Darla and
Yeah,
their
yeah,
video
yeah.
thing. He's doing a great job, dude.
Totally.
I should have hit him up because I didn't know any of what I was doing, to be honest. You know what I mean? I just knew at the conception of what I was trying to do. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But I didn't really
Well,
know.
fuck, dude, all this is sick, dude.
Yeah, I
That's
did
so sick.
everything alcoholically.
Yeah, just the bet. Yeah,
Yeah,
all the way.
yeah. It just didn't stop until it was fucking like even to the stickers on the microphones.
Totally, dude.
Just extra, bro.
So sick.
Just like gold Harleys. Are you almost done with your build yet?
I'm getting close, yeah.
What are you building right now?
66 shovelhead.
And this will be your
Chopper.
5th chopper you've built, right?
4th.
What was the first one?
The first one was like
FLH, right?
no, my very first chopper was actually like an '05 Sportster. It
Okay.
was the first bike I ever got. I didn't have any, I had like shit credit at the time. I was like newly sober. And like my first sponsor, he had the bike, he had it financed, and he went and bought a new Dyna. And he was like, hey man, you want to like take over the payments on this Sportster? And I was like, hell yeah, dude.
Were you sober then?
Yeah, I was newly sober, dude.
Gotcha.
Like fresh.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, I got the bike and then I rode it for like 6 months, kind of like the way it was. And then I started like seeing other dudes like cutting their fenders and like, you know, putting Z-bars on them. And I was like, that shit's sick. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run it like that. So I started cutting on this thing, dude. I cut the fender, extended the front end, you know, polished the fork lowers, all that stuff. And then was like, I'm gonna hardtail this thing. So I hit up my buddy Easy and was like, hey dude, like let's like build a chopper, dude. And I got this hardtail kit and like he welded it on there for me and started putting it back together. And the '05s, they have like all these like crazy sensors and electronics and shit like that.
Yeah.
They have like this big bank ankle sensor thing that like goes by the battery or whatever. And so it's like building a chopper with a bike that has to have all of these electronics is like super ugly, dude.
Okay.
So I ended up like not ever even finishing that bike.
Yeah.
Like I got into it like way more than it was ever going to be worth. And I just sent it down the road.
But you learned.
But I learned a lot.
You learned
yeah,
a lot.
Easy taught me a lot, dude. I spent a lot of time in his shop. He taught me how to like clean metal, cut, shape, make brackets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like taught me how to use an angle grinder, like all that stuff, and has also helped like teach me how to weld. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Been like a really solid teacher to me. You know, like a mentor.
So you had the Sportster, and then well, what's funny about the polishing is you gave me my first couple of polishing compounds. I don't know if you remember that. I was polishing something stupid.
Oh yeah,
on
yeah.
my Dyna, and you gave me you gave me my first Dremel.
Yep.
And you gave.
I did.
I still have it, dude.
I was like, here, you need some tools.
Yeah,
bro.
I had got your Dremel. I still have your Dremel, and then you gave me some polishing compounds, and I had to fuck it up about 7 times, but I figured.
Yeah,
it
you
out.
figured it out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
it was like pretty good, you know.
It's like that's like what we do, right? That dude Easy, he gave me some tools. He gave me like my first impact. He gave me an angle grinder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some little files and stuff like that. Taught me how to polish metal, and you know what I mean? Like it's just like cool stuff. So then like you see somebody else like trying to figure something out, you're like, here, dude.
Yeah.
Here's what you need.
Yeah.
Go to town.
And then you got your Dyna after the Sportster?
After the Sportster, then I got a shovel head.
Okay.
So I got a 76 shovel. And that was the first bike that I took all the way down to the frame by myself.
Okay.
And decided I was going to build a swing arm chopper with that thing. And so I did. And it was kind of like it took a long time, but took that bike all the way down to the frame, cut off all the tabs and brackets that I wasn't going to use, had the frame powder coated, built a cool like FLH front end with like shaved fork lowers, polished fork lowers, which I did by hand because I didn't know how to use a lathe at the time or have access to a lathe.
Yeah.
So I did it by hand, dude. I lopped them off with an angle grinder, like all the tabs, and then literally just sat there and sanded everything down until it felt smooth.
Yeah.
It took forever, dude. I had so much like aluminum in my nostrils.
Yep.
Like I would blow my nose and I would just have like metal boogers, dude, for days.
And probably cancer.
And cancer for sure.
Fuck yeah.
For sure.
That's okay.
So I did that a bunch, and then
You stopped smoking meth, so
it's a win-win.
yeah,
Dude.
yeah, you're all right.
It's a win-win. Then I had my buddy Lane paint that bike. He painted it like a brandy wine. Dude, to this day, like I miss, out of like all the bikes that have come and gone, like I miss that bike a lot.
Was that the burgundy one?
It was the burgundy one.
That one's sick.
It was like a really unique swing arm chopper.
Yeah.
Like it just had like style for miles, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a cool bike.
Yeah. And then picked up the Dyna.
And then I got the Dyna.
You had that one forever.
For a long time. I love that bike. I'll probably end up getting that same bike again, dude.
That same year?
Yeah, 2000 Dyna lowrider or like a DX or something, you know?
For sure.
Like I like early Dynas. The frames are narrower. The geometry's cool.
Yeah.
Like it's just a super comfortable bike for me to ride.
And you still outrode everybody in the packs,
dude.
No matter what.
Wait to motor ratio, bro.
Yeah. You still, I mean, there was guys with 117s and 114s, and he was like, nah. Everybody you were just right there, bro. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
So that's how he was like, it didn't really
And
matter.
it's like you can have the biggest motor in the world, but if you don't know how to ride it, you don't know how to ride it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Like that bike, like I knew inside and out. Like I knew exactly how far I could push it. You know?
Yeah. So and then this one, you already have the motor for it.
Yeah, the 66 I got from Tommy.
Shout out Tommy.
My brother Tommy.
Yeah.
He came up on that bike. He had a couple of bikes already, and I was in the process of buying a house, so
yeah,
I had to sell my shovel, my 74 shovel that I did, the brown bike.
Right. Thanks, famous.
Yeah. To get cash flow for closing costs and stuff like that. So I was bikeless and I couldn't finance anything. So it wasn't like I could go buy a new Dyna or anything like that.
Right.
So it's kind of like, well, I'm just not going to have a bike for a while. You know what I mean? And Tommy was like, I was helping Tommy move, and he's like, all right, last load. He's like, and load that bike up while you're at it and take it home.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, dude. And he was like, no, for real. And I was like, dude, I'm absolutely not taking that fucking motorcycle. And he was like, dude, you're going to take that bike. And I said, all right, fuck it, dude. I'll take it, dude.
Damn, dude.
So I took it home and just started chopping on it right away, dude.
God damn, that thing's
We're
so
pretty
cool.
close. I think we're probably about 75% there. I just built custom sissy bar, like a flat stock stainless steel sissy bar. I taught myself how to TIG weld. So like during this build, I was like, I'm gonna just teach myself how to TIG weld. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
started talking to some of my other friends that are fabricators and like learning some stuff and watching YouTube videos, and I got a little TIG welder and just started sticking metal together until it started making sense, man. I've gotten like pretty proficient with it, you know.
When you're doing a build like that, what's your first thought on your build as far as design goes?
Like inspiration, right?
Yeah.
So same as like a tattoo. Like you don't know really what you like until you see it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So when you see something you like, then you see that, but then you also think about what you don't like about it.
Totally.
So I'll take something that inspires me. Like I'll look at a bike and I'll be like, that the stance of that bike is sexy to me, but I would change this and that about it, and I would have done that differently. And then that's what I do, right?
Got it.
You know, so like there's a style, like, and it has a lot to do with like how you ride, you know, as a rider, and how like how you need that bike to perform. You could have like a low and slow bike that is just like pretty cool and you're a pretty mellow rider. If you're like a more aggressive rider, you're going to want a more aggressive stance. You're going to want to be up a little taller. You're going to want to be tighter. You know what I mean? You're going to need a little bit more out of that motor than just your 74 inches, you know? Those kinds of things you want to take into consideration. How high are your mid control is going to be? Like, how far are you going to lean that bike?
Yeah. And then make sure it doesn't have any front brakes for you.
Yeah. Because you don't want to be a dork on the street.
Yeah,
don't have any making
when did
fun of you.
having brakes be not cool, you know?
I think I think like in the 60s they would pretty much take everything off that didn't make you go faster.
Okay.
So it was like if it didn't make you go faster, it came off. Your primary came off, your front brake
That's
came
why they
off.
do that.
You know what I mean? Like your blinkers came off, like pretty
Yeah.
much anything that you didn't need to like go faster. So it would make your bike lighter. It was less shit you had to work on or think about, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it didn't really serve it. The bike didn't need it to run. It came off the motorcycle.
Yeah. Have you read I just got sent a copy of this book, and it's called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Building.
Dude, so I've heard everybody talks about that book and
Okay.
I have not read it yet.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes hand in hand with the way I felt about basically it's just keeping my hands and my brain busy. And I think there's a correlation between that and my alcoholic tendencies. You know what I'm saying?
Man. Yeah.
And so it's like, not that I'm trading anything for anything else. It's just that without all that extra shit, it's just sometimes some days it just felt just sober. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those aren't very great days. So it'd be like, I need to keep my hands busy. And so people see a crazy fucking Harley that I'm just tweak out on. But
yeah, the gray bike.
And then even the new one. And it's like, really, it's just a day of a project that I can wake up and say, I'm going to do a project today, and go to bed saying I did that project. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got something done and you didn't cause a bunch of chaos and wreckage in your life.
Or I tried.
You stayed, for the most part, like you stayed out of everybody's way. And sometimes it'd be like that, right? Sometimes that's the best we can do.
Yeah.
Is not fuck ourselves.
Yeah.
By like, the best I can do some days is like to not talk to other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, actually,
and those days are rare, but like it happens. You know what I mean?
So I kind of wanted to touch on your early years, bro.
Okay.
So I try to keep the traditions and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I definitely want to talk about your early years because it's only stories to me. I've only ever known you this way, healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
dude.
but I've heard the stories from you and some of your friends, and I fucking love it, dude.
Oh my God, dude.
You qualified young, bro. You know what I mean?
I did.
And it's like, it's almost like you should have grown up in Reno. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Reno would have been lucky to have me.
You probably got sober even earlier, bro.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Hey, legit though, like when I got here, like when I ended up here, man, when God blessed me to be here, I'll say it like that.
Okay.
I was like, man, I am so glad that I'm here sober and not like how I was, because I was like really proud of the things that I accomplished in Reno and the life that I had made for myself in Reno. I moved here and like the only people I knew were like a couple of other tattooers. I didn't really know I didn't have friends, you know what I mean? And like God put the right people in my life at the right time, and was able to like create like a real community with like lasting friendships. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And coming down here like wasted, that wouldn't have been a thing, dude. I'd have burnt this town to the ground.
No, for sure. And what's crazy about that is I met you in the rooms from a guy who got me into motorcycles.
Yeah.
And this guy has known my dad for the last 30 years, and him and my dad came in together. And one day, this guy, I won't break his anonymity, but he grabbed me after a meeting, like he does all the time still.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, you need to come meet this guy. And he brought me over to you. And, I think about that moment a lot because I didn't almost go to that meeting that night. And I think about where my life is today and all the things that happened from that moment. And it's cool to think about, bro.
It's wild,
you know what I mean? Because he brought me over to you and I was riding in this really green club.
Yeah, it was wacky.
It was wacky, dude. And I was on a Sportster and I'm 6'1". So it was and you could just tell there was a lot of edges that needed to be smoothed out. And you did one of the most important things, still something that we do to this day. You did not promote. You attracted. Yeah. And you attracted me to what you had. You know what I mean?
I saw a lot of potential in you.
Thank you, bro.
And I still see a lot of potential in you. And I knew what my intention was with you. When I met you, I was like, I knew in my head, like, this dude's going to be part of my crew. I'm bringing this kid around. You know what I mean? I don't care what he's got going on in his life. I'm not gonna tell him
Yeah.
what I'm doing. You know what I mean? But like, we're gonna kick it tough, and like, I'm gonna show him a different side of the world.
And that's what
You
happened.
know?
And then flash forward 7 years later,
Yeah.
we're sitting here in a clubhouse that was directly and indirectly built by your legacy, bro. You know what I mean?
It's crazy,
And
man.
it is crazy because there's we wouldn't be sitting here.
No,
We wouldn't be sitting here doing this if it wasn't for you, bro. And that's a powerful thing. And it's nothing to shake a stick. It's real. You know what I mean?
For sure. But it also could be like the grace of God, dude. Like got me here, right? So like, I can't take credit for meeting you and that whole thing transpiring. The only thing that I can take credit for is taking action when I saw an opportunity.
Right.
And that, dude, to me, that is like life, right? Like opportunity is everywhere. Like with people, you know, like what kind of people you want to have around you, what kind of community you want to build, what kind of like blessings you want to like receive in your life. There's opportunities everywhere. Some people like can't see them because they can't see past their own shit, you know, but when you're aware and you're like open to like whatever God's going to put in front of you, a lot of beautiful things can happen and you can grow something from nothing. And that's exactly what transpired.
Yeah. And it was cool to find something, and it's something I'd like to talk to you about and get your opinion on, but it's definitely something that was able to, when I got into the rooms, never felt like that was there. It's cliquey. It's just how it is. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
there was the guys that golfed just like everyone.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to fucking golf. You know what I'm saying? And
dude,
that's not me.
We got a crew of dudes in Sacramento. They all just started golfing together.
Yeah.
Like these dudes they've been sober for a long ass time. I've seen them around for a long time. They're like from like the hardcore scene, the metal scene, you know what I mean? All these nerds are like golfing, dude. They're wearing short shorts.
Yeah.
They got golfers tans,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
And I'm just like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? And
you guys used to be cool, man.
You used to be cool. And so I love it.
They're still cool.
I love why. It just was like, dude, I smoked meth, bro.
Yeah, I'm not going golfing
Off
with you.
of 4th Street motels, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go golf.
It ain't
wasn't my
dude.
thing. And then it was like there was the fishing guys, and that was like a little more attractive.
Yeah.
And it was just like it was the click, and I didn't really find a click until I found motorcycles, and I just felt like that was something I could do, and I could do it sober.
Yeah.
And I was trying to also balance what that looked like in sobriety with the lifestyle that comes with riding motorcycles.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And but before we get into that, I'd like just what was it like growing up in Sac, man?
I mean, honestly, I grew up in Auburn. I didn't grow up in Sac, but I grew up in Auburn's
in the woods.
Yeah, it's like just a beautiful like small town, like sheltered, like in the foothills, and it was like, I don't know, dude, it was like safe for a teenager to get into trouble without getting into trouble.
Okay.
So like drinking started out like mellow. I knew I liked drinking from the gate. As soon as I started drinking, like I was a wild man, you know.
I like the effect produced.
I like the effects produced by alcohol, dude.
Love
you know, I wouldn't say that like I was an alcoholic right away, because I do distinctly note a small period of time where the phenomenon of craving started kicking in. I know that I liked to get wasted, but it wasn't like a phenomenon of craving type deal. It was more like I like getting wasted and having fun. But when that phenomenon of craving started kicking in, I was probably, I would say, about like 18, 19. And I had been partying since early on, but I distinctly remember like there was this dude, he used to come to the tattoo shop and he'd pick me up and we'd go to this park, and he was 21 and he would always bring like these beers, like these Tsingtao. They're called Tsingtao, like these Chinese beers.
Yeah.
They taste like a Heineken kind of, right?
Okay,
They're kind of skunky in like a big bottle.
Got it.
You know, and he'd bring these beers and like we'd chill after work and have a beer at the park. And I distinctly remember we did that for like a week. And then the next week I called him and was like, hey dude, bring me 2 of those because I need 2. You know what I mean?
How old are you?
I was like 18.
Fuck yeah.
I was working at the first tattoo shop I ever worked at. I was partying. You know, when you work in the tattoo industry, everything in the world is accessible to you and everybody wants to get you loaded. Like everybody.
To that.
So it wasn't getting alcohol, drugs, anything like that. It wasn't an issue. But I just think for the first time, I remember thinking like, yeah, we do this thing where we chill at the park and we drink a beer, right? But like this time I needed 2 beers. And then I drank those 2 beers, you know what I mean? And I did that maybe for a week. And then the next time I was like, dude, you need to grab a case and like, let's like drink some beers, right? And because I knew that second beer, it wasn't good enough, dude. It wasn't getting me where I needed to get.
Yep.
You know, and that's where like that where I differentiate partying or like binge drinking,
Yeah.
what I was doing before, and then when the phenomenon of craving kicked in, that's where I would say that, like it says in the big book, like I'm a man who's lost his legs.
Yeah.
I'm never going to regrow new ones, right? And I believe that for every person, once you cross that line where the phenomenon of craving kicks in, it's never going to go back to normal drinking ever.
Yeah.
You're done. You know what I mean?
Yep. And that all stems from probably spiritual deficiency, whatever. It's
Yeah,
genetic. It could be
genetic
anything,
in my
bro.
blood, like long line, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of like, you know, substance abuse and, you know, whatever, you know, like,
Yeah.
but maybe not. I don't know.
For sure.
All I know is how it affected me, right?
Totally. Yeah.
You know, it made me feel like I was 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
It made me feel like I was good looking. It made me feel like I was funny. It made me feel funny.
Yeah. Love it.
I like lighting shit on fire.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I
Hell
like
yeah.
breaking shit. I like fucking going on adventures and waking up in weird places. I
Yep.
liked all that stuff at first. It was fun, dude.
Yep.
Like life was an adventure for a while. I look back on some of those times and those stories. There's a lot of guys in the rooms who are like, "Oh, it's so shameful what I did." I look back on a lot of that and I'm like still to this day like still think it's funny and I still know that I had a really good time.
Yeah. There's a lot of, you've told me a lot of funny stories.
I had a
It's-
good time, dude.
It's not always, and I talked about that with somebody else a few episodes back, and it was similar. It was like, I'd like to tell you that my worst day in sober is better than my best day out there.
It's just-
And it's just not true.
This is not,
You know
isn't
what
it?
I
It's
mean?
just not the case,
And
man.
it,
For
no,
sure.
because I did some cool shit. I was always
Yeah.
walking somewhere. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
always, dude. Always in great shape, dude.
Yeah, dude. I was like, I
But-
always had somewhere to be, bro.
I
Yeah.
guess where I'm going it was a lot of fun until it wasn't.
Right.
And then once it wasn't, then it was hell. Then I was living in hell because I had started something that I couldn't on my own willpower stop. Like I got the ball in motion because like something changed inside of me where like I needed this. And once I realized that it was out of control, like it was too late, dude.
Yeah.
It was too late. Only, you know what I mean? It was like only God could save me now.
So
You know?
when did you put the shovel down?
But what?
Put the shovel down. When was the bottom?
Oh,
When you had your sobriety day. You know what I mean?
yeah. So I had known that I was alcoholic for a while.
Yeah.
I remember vividly one instance in particular where I showed up late to work like I normally did. I was still drunk from the night before. I maybe had 3 hours of sleep.
Yep.
And I knew that the boss was going to be in there, the owner of the shop, that I was going to be in trouble, that he was going to take my shop key, you know what I mean? And this is a guy that like gave me an opportunity to like make something of myself. Like this is an older dude that gave me a shot, like a kid that had no business like doing anything like that.
Right.
And he gave me a shot, dude, and I wanted everything inside of me to make this guy proud. And I let him down day after day. And on this day in particular, like I showed up at the shop, I knew I was fucked, dude. And I walked out and I sat down on the stairs because I couldn't even go in and look at him. And I sat down on the stairs outside, and my buddy Joey came out, and he sits on the stairs, and I just started bawling, dude.
Yeah.
I just started crying. I didn't know why. And he looks at me. He's like, "Dude, what is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "I can't stop drinking.
Yep.
I cannot stop drinking." And I said, "I think I'm an alcoholic."
Yeah.
And he turned around and, dude, I'll never forget this. He turned around and he looked at me and he said, "Listen, it's going to be okay. You just need to have a couple beers." On
Hell
God,
yeah.
on God, dude.
Man.
And you know what? For a long time, when I thought about that moment, I was like, "What a fucking dick, dude."
Yeah, bro. My God.
But like my perspective is different now because he was absolutely right. I needed a couple beers, dude. Okay, so
Whoa.
as an alcoholic, like I need spirits. You know what I'm saying? Like if I don't have spirits, I'm fucked. As a sober member of this thing, I still need spirits.
Yep.
I just need different spirits.
Yep. Yeah.
I can't take those spirits anymore. I gotta have the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
dogs.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know what I'm
totally
saying?
understand. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I am deficient in whatever there's like a God-sized hole in my heart, and the only thing that can fill it for a while was like alcohol and dope. And at some point that stopped working. And at that point I was fucked, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
You were one of the first people that broke down the higher power thing for me in a way that didn't feel taboo.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And it just, I complicated that so much for so fucking long.
You and
bro.
everybody else.
Yeah,
man.
bro. And it was like, it just seemed taboo. I don't know, man. It was like every time somebody would talk about having a higher power, it felt like I was talking to Jehovah's Witnesses. You know what I'm saying?
Or
And it was like, it just felt weird to me,
kind
bro.
of cheesy.
It was cheesy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then finally, I think one time we were talking and you were like, bro, it's just something that like, and I say this often, which is funny because it's another criticism, bro, but I take a credit for a lot of your wisdom,
I
bro.
like
You know
it.
what I'm saying? So, but you said something like, it's just something that is inherently positive and loves you no matter what. And if you ask this omnipotent thing a question, it's not going to lead you, it's not going to tell you the wrong answer.
Word.
It was something like that, bro. And it was like, that's as simple as I needed somebody to make it to me. And I was like, ever since then, super palatable. And it was really
Mhm.
easy for me. You
It's
know
just-
what I mean?
it's
And
just-
now I can say God because I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I
it's
mean?
just power, right?
It
Like
is,
you're
right.
you're powerless and you need power, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So, like as a leaf falls off a tree, as a wave crashes in the ocean, you don't have any power over that.
Right.
You
Right.
can't control that, right?
Right.
So
Right.
why not call that God?
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
No, and it was very simple. It was that simple. And it
Yeah.
was that simple. And I was finally able to like really understand what I was trying to talk to. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
And it's like, and now it's funny because we've talked about this is like there's times where I'll know that I don't want to meditate or pray because I don't want to know the answer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
yup,
saying? So I'm like, I know this thing's working in my life because I
yup.
don't want to hear it tell me I'm fucking up. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So, you know,
Where where I've been like the last few years is I always had this is going to be kind of funny, dude. And
Yeah.
I told my wife this the other day and
Yeah.
she laughed, dude, cuz she grew up in the church, you know what I mean? So she like strict religion, you know what I mean? God is this and you have to do this and all that stuff.
Right.
And I told her like sometimes like when I pray, like I imagine you remember that one Simpsons episode where like Homer's like talking to God and like God's up in the sky and like cartoon God basically.
Yeah.
Sometimes like I imagine like that God, dude. He
Yeah, yeah.
seemed cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like that's like kind of sometimes what I think about. Like when I think about God, that's what
There
I
you go.
imagine in
Cool.
my head.
'Cause it's-
And she hella thought it was funny,
That's
dude.
funny.
But like that being said, like these last few years, I've really been focusing on taking God out of the sky and putting God within me. And I think that like I've found a lot of peace in that knowing that like I don't have to do all this stuff to get God from up there like into here. Like he already exists in here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I just got to summon that.
Yep.
It's everything that I need is already within me. God is already in here. Like the answers are in here. All this stuff is in here.
Right.
I just have to make time and I have to clear my head a little bit and I have to like be willing to like hear it and to feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. I do know what you mean. So how long after that breakdown in the tattoo parlor
Oh
did you find the rooms?
Yeah, so I wish I could be like, yeah, dude, and then like I went straight to a meeting and I
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
sober. And my
No,
life,
you wouldn't have those 2 beers.
yeah, my life was sick.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but no, I didn't. I went into the shop and
Yeah.
that old man told me to fuck off and took my shop key and I was in trouble again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I went, and did what I do. I think I stayed there for another few months. I knew I was getting fired. I didn't have the heart to get fired like a man, so I quit.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I,
Something that I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't sit there and look him in the eye and tell him he was right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I quit and did a demographic. I moved around a little bit here and there, and wherever I went, there I was. I finally landed in Sacramento. I started working for a dude named Jackson, and he is who would become my second mentor. You know what I mean? Who really, really taught me tattooing. And this dude I owe a lot to. You know, he took me under his wing just like the first guy, did, and he showed me the ropes, man. He taught me about tattoo history. He taught me about the importance of knowing where we come from and why we do the things we do. He taught me how to make needles, taught me how to draw and paint tattoo flash. You know what I'm saying? To study like live reference and to be able to create something from like the first generation instead of a repeated 3 degrees, 4 degrees of separation or whatever. Just like a lot of really important things that I carry into my career. Really rad dude. not to mention, like, we would show up at work. Sometimes we'd go to the grocery store across the street before work, and we'd get a couple racks of ribs, and we'd walk over back to the shop, and like we'd set up the smoker, and we would smoke ribs all day while we were working.
Badass.
And he taught me how to set these ribs up, set the smoker up, you know. So like we're working all day, and by the end of the day, we have like a couple racks of badass ribs we've been smoking all day to grub down on, dude.
Is this where you got into barbecuing?
That's where I got into barbecuing, dude.
Oh shit, I never knew that.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Okay,
this
cool.
dude's a G, man. He taught me so much stuff. He taught me how to save money in the summer so I didn't starve in the winter, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like how to be a grown up for the most part.
Yeah.
But I was still blowing it, dude. I had the world at my fingertips. I had like a rad apprenticeship. I had a rad opportunity to work at a rad shop with good people that I cared about, and I was blowing it, dude. And I was lucky enough that there was a dude who was a member in that shop, and he was active in like young people's, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And he you know, lightweight suggested like, hey, I know you see us in here like doing, you know, talking and stuff like that, and like if you ever want to like tag along, you're more than welcome, you know. And I lightweight like acted like I was cool, you know what I mean? But it was funny because he knew what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, I
and
thought
you were also still young too, huh?
I was young.
Yeah.
I was young. And one day, like, I felt like I was done and I was sick of my own bullshit, you know what I mean? And I took him up on that, and I went to a meeting with him, and it was what it was, man. I wasn't ready to be there yet.
Yeah.
But like I knew that there was a problem, and I knew in my heart that I couldn't stop on my own willpower, but I didn't think AA was going to work for me, you know? So I kind of did that 30, 60, even 90-day thing, you know? And then every relapse that I had, I went out like worse than I was before.
Fuck yeah.
And so I did this like a good handful of times. I even like asked this one dude to be my sponsor one time, and then I just never called him again. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
So I was like half-assed trying to do the thing, but like I knew in like the back of my head that I wasn't done yet.
Yeah.
The last relapse that I had, I was out for about 6 months, and I ended up just getting into other forms of alcohol, dude. You know what I'm saying? And every single morning was like, it was like Groundhog's Day, dude. Every single morning was a nightmare. I'd come to, I go lay down in the shower and let the water fall on me, dude. And I'd think about like everything that I had to do that day. I'd look at my phone, like it's just missed calls, text messages, dude, what the fuck? All that stuff. Like the feeling of just the doom, you know what I mean? Incomprehensible demoralization.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Feeling all that stuff. And dude, it got to the point where I would pray to a God that I didn't understand yet to either take my life or take me to jail, because like I thought that there was something mentally wrong with me, because I would wake up and I would swear off alcohol for the rest of my life, and I'm never going to drink again, and today's going to be different. And by 4 o'clock, my brain convinced me that I could have a couple beers because I had a really hard day. And there I was again, lighting trash cans on fire.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. And it's the what do they call it? Oh, I forget the part where, but it's where it talks about my great obsession.
Yeah.
My great obsession.
Yeah,
is
dude.
that I'm like everybody else.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And
exactly.
it stays that way.
Yeah, and I had known for a long time that I wasn't like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? But I also didn't know how to not allow my brain to convince me that it would be okay for me to drink. You know what I'm
so
saying?
it was no
weird.
problem admitting that there was an issue. It was a problem admitting that your life was unmanageable.
In the morning, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, dude.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
In the morning, I had a problem and I couldn't drink, and I was a fucking alcoholic. And then by 3 or 4 o'clock, I wasn't an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And it'd be okay for me to have a couple beers. That's insanity, dude.
Bro.
Because this went on for months.
Yep.
And eventually, alcohol didn't work anymore. And I wish I could be like, alcohol was the solution. It worked up until forever. And then I quit. Like, it stopped working, man. I could not drink enough to quiet my brain.
Yeah.
Like, I would carry beers up into my room. You know what I'm saying? Like, liquor in my room, like up to bed with me. My roommate's like, why are you taking the bottle with you? Aren't you going to sleep?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but like I need it.
Damn.
Because my head's still chicka 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 chicka. You know what I'm saying? And I can't turn it off, dude. No amount of alcohol could save me from my own mind, dude.
Wow.
It was an insanity. And there was a point where I was at the liquor store on East Street underneath the Pine Cove bar. So I used to go to this Pine Cove bar. I would close the bar down. I would go down to the liquor store. I'd grab whatever I needed for the rest of the night, and I'd head home, right? I ran into one of those people I met at the young people's meeting. And here's the miracle of the rooms, right? He didn't, obviously I was buying booze, and I was drunk. He didn't say like, like, hey, what's up with you? Like you should quit drinking or none of that shit,
Yeah.
dude. He was like, hey, I noticed you got a bike, man. I'm into riding bikes too. Like we should go for a ride sometime. And I was kind of like, yeah, dude. And then instead of like telling this dude, like, dude, I'm suffering, man. Like I'm dying inside. I don't know how to stop doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to like, I don't know, jump off a cliff or like go to prison or something like that because I'm hoping that if something major in my life happened, that would be enough, because on my own willpower, I can't stop doing this shit. Everything inside of me wanted to tell this dude the truth of what was going on. But the only thing that came out of my mouth was like, dude, I'm glad like I went to those meetings, but like it turns out I'm not actually an alcoholic. You know what I mean? Like I was just having a hard
Hell yeah.
time, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But
Yeah,
like
yeah. I'm not like you.
that was really exactly.
Got
That
it.
was really cool. I'm
Yeah.
glad you do that.
I'm glad you do that. I love
And this dude saw past all that bullshit. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And he didn't make it a thing. He just made sure I grabbed his number, on the pretense that we're gonna go ride fixed gears. You know what I mean? And I didn't think anything of it until it just got so dark, dude. It was hopeless. My life was hopeless. My roommates were afraid of me. You know what I mean? When I came out of my room, like we were close. You know what I mean? And like I'd come out of my room and they would like shy away and like on a sick one, dude. Like 3 days straight of like being up and just stuff got just really weird. You know how it gets.
Yeah.
And I finally just like at that point, I don't know what was different that day, and I call it like divine inspiration. But like something in my head was like, that dude who gave you his number, you should call him. And I don't know why, dude, but I picked up my phone because he wasn't like a close friend or anything like that. All my friends like were sick of my bullshit. Nobody wanted to hang out with me.
Yep.
It was December. I knew that I was gonna have to go home for Christmas, and I was gonna have to see my mom. She's gonna have to see me. I knew exactly how that was gonna go down. I was ashamed of myself. I was ashamed of myself at work. Like I was becoming a problem. And I picked up my phone, dude, and it weighed 500 pounds. I picked it up, got his number, called it, picked me up right that evening. He took me to a meeting, dude, and then I raised my hand for the first time and fully conceded that I was an alcoholic. And at that moment, I was willing to do whatever it took to stay sober. I didn't care, dude. I didn't care what it was. Like, whatever you guys need me to do, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to live here, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Did it stick that time?
And I did, dude. Yes, it did.
And you were 21.
22.
22. Bro.
21 was too hard on me, dog.
Yeah.
21 almost killed me, bro.
Well, if you did it here in Reno, you would have done it at 21.
Yeah, for sure, dude. For sure.
No, that's wild, bro.
Yeah, 22 years old, December 16th of 2008.
Jeez, bro.
Yeah.
That is the craziest thing.
Yeah, I saw this dude in there that I knew through a family member of mine who ran like a halfway house, like a reentry program. And I knew that this dude was a gangster, bro. Like he was a bad dude, bro. Like bad dude. And I seen his life and what it looked like and what his recovery looked like, and that was attractive to me.
Yep.
What was also attractive to me was that I lightweight understood that I was gonna have to tell somebody all my secrets. And I knew for a fact that this dude would never snitch on nobody.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I said, this dude is not a rat. He is not a snitch, and that his credit on the street is good.
Yep.
So I asked him to be my sponsor.
Yep.
You know what I'm
There
saying?
you go.
And this dude had gotten his life together to the point where he was like a union plumber pipe fitter, dude. You know what I mean? Like had a nice truck, had a cool wife, nice place to live. He had it going on, dude. And he would drive from Citrus Heights all the way up to Midtown. He would pick my dumb ass up, put me in the truck. We'd go somewhere and we'd get in that book, dude.
Cool.
And we start reading, and we did those steps. And he was a no bullshit like Joe and Charlie type dude. Like we did 1, 2, and 3 like all same day. Sit down, boom, 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 do the thing, read. We would go right there at some restaurant. You know what I mean? Like go in the bathroom. He's all, we got to get on our knees. That's how we get humble. And I'm getting in the bathroom with this ex-convict dude.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, grab my hand. So I'm holding his hand. Like I'm willing to do whatever it takes at this point, dude.
Yeah.
Whatever I got to do to stay sober, right?
Yeah.
And he starts reciting the 3rd step prayer, and I'm repeating after him, right? Dude, halfway through that prayer, I felt this immense feeling of relief, dude. It was so wild. I still feel it. You know what I mean? Like the weight of the world off your shoulders type deal, where I felt like it was going to be okay. I didn't know how, and I didn't have to know how. I just knew that it was going to be okay, that I didn't have to manage everything anymore, that somebody else was going to manage it for me.
Yeah.
I just had to keep showing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did my 4th step with that guy. I told him all that stuff that I was super embarrassed about,
Yep.
the things I was ashamed of, the secrets that I was never going to tell anybody.
Yeah.
You know, the shit that I thought that, like, if I were to tell anybody, the feds were going to come knocking on my door. I told him all that stuff, dude. You know what I mean? And he didn't even bat an eye. He probably didn't even care.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um,
And I remember we've talked about this a lot because I struggled with that one. And it was the one thing that you said is we had this in common, is that you were also responsible for 99% of the resentments you've ever had as well. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And again, that's not me saying that, guys. I got that from Chris. But that's one of those things. And I was like, that's true, man. And I got to that 4th column and I realized how much I'm responsible for my own wreckage, bro.
Dude,
you know what I mean? And
where-
every resentment I've ever had.
Wherever we go, there we are, right?
Right.
Like, everything that happens to me in my life is because of me.
Right.
In one way or another.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
How soon after?
Even if I'm a victim of something,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? The way that I will allow it to affect me is my part, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And the damage that I do to others based on the way that I'm affected.
Yes. Absolutely. We talked about that last night after.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right on. How soon after that did you get into the motorcycles?
Oh, 08. I think it's probably 2 years sober.
2 years sober.
Yeah, so 2010,
Yeah.
2010 or 11. Yeah, that same sponsor hooked me up with that bike. Yeah.
That sponsor hooked you up
Yeah,
with that first
which
Sportster.
is huge, honestly, because, like, I could have not made that payment. I could have fucked his credit up. You know what I mean? Like, he
Yeah.
took a big risk on, like, letting me do that. You know what I
Right.
mean? But in him doing that, it was the strangest thing, but it also inspired me to, like, start rebuilding my life. I should have credit. I should be able to go buy my own motorcycle. I work hard. I have money. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it made me so that I could go. I went into the bank and I got like a prepaid credit card.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I did that, and I started. I hired a company. I paid a company like $500 to go clean up all my stuff, and I had settled out. So, like, things that were in collections and juvenile stuff that I never took care of, all that stuff, and just wiped all that stuff and got like a clean slate, dude. You know, and was able to start like building my life kind of back up from there, where I was like became like somebody on paper, dude. And as I started doing more things like that, like, my self-esteem grew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember like financing my first vehicle. Like, I remember walking in there and them being like, well, like, your credit's not great, but you have some credit, you know, and you got a little bit of money down. So yeah, we'll give you a truck. And like, I was blown away. I was like, they're going to let me drive out of here with this truck right now. This is insane, dude. Yeah, dude, this is wild.
Hell
They
yeah.
gave me the keys, dude. I drove out of there and I was just like, that's God. That's just God working in my life, dude.
That is wild, bro.
You
I
know?
was pumped on like my first bank account, dude.
Yeah, dude.
God damn. It was like, I talked to people about that and they're like, yeah, we've all had them, bro. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
27. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
had a fucking real bank
my
account.
first bank account, they had these deposit slips. Back in the day, they used to have envelopes. And
Okay.
you put your cash in the envelope.
U.S. Bank.
It was something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
You put
yeah,
the
yeah.
cash in the envelope,
Yeah.
and then you tell the computer how much is in the envelope, and
Yeah.
you deposit it, right?
You could get the money right away.
I figured out that I could just put an empty ass envelope in there, and I could tell them I had $200, and I'd pull it out, dude, right away.
Damn.
So I did that.
That's
like,
so funny. I did that exact same thing. Dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did it like 3 times, and then they X'd me out, dude.
Yeah, yeah. I can never bank at U.S. Bank again.
Yep. So that was also some wreckage of the past I had to clear up,
Good
right?
for you, dude. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah, that's fucking wild. So when did you meet Tommy Valentine?
Oh man, me and Tommy actually knew each other for years, dude. Like, we actually partied together, dude.
Yeah.
He liked to have a good time, but like, he wasn't like me.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
Like,
agree.
he was somebody who could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Even though there were nights that like we stayed up all night raging, dude. He could still like drink half a beer and decide he didn't want to finish the rest.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's foreign language to me, bro.
But yeah, like
Yeah.
through like the music scene, like hardcore music scene and
Yep.
and stuff like that. Like, we've known each other for years, dude. You know, we reconnected through motorcycles though.
Yeah. So he had already been around the club for a minute.
Yes. Yeah.
And you had about 2 years of sobriety. And how much sobriety did you have when you seen Tommy around the club?
When Tommy moved to Reading, he joined the club, and we didn't reconnect until he moved back from Reading. I had got my Dyna, and I started seeing him posting stuff, like him on the bike with a cut on. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, let's rip. What's up? Where you been, bro? So we started kicking it tough, and then it was all downhill from there, bro. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
We were fixing to do something.
So Tommy did the same thing you did to Reno.
Exactly.
Okay, so he went
Exactly.
and did that, made it, came back to SAC, and then
Yes.
had 6 guys.
Yeah, he was the Lone Ranger in SAC, and that was like hard for a while because
Yeah.
we were met with some resistance at first. You know what I mean? But
Right.
I knew some people, he knew some people who were able to make some phone calls that eventually landed us a meeting with the right people where we were able to move forward with our plan. But it was at first it was really sticky.
Yeah.
It was sticky.
No, I've heard the stories.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
wild, bro. Yeah. And so you do that. Now, how did it translate okay for you? Early recovery. And usually in early recovery we're pretty to the book, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did it translate okay for you joining a motorcycle club and also still trying to be in the consciousness with
That's
you
a
know
good
what I mean?
that's a good question because that's something that honestly I struggled with from the beginning to the
Right.
from the beginning until up until to now.
Yeah.
Does this make sense for my life?
I understand.
Can I live this life and practice spiritual principles in my life simultaneously? So that's the question that I can only answer for myself.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying? That I can't answer for anybody else. That was a daunting question in the back of my head for a long time.
Yes. I totally understand. I do understand. I think that what's funny is I won't give very much away, but every club has bylaws, and our bylaws read a lot like the traditions,
Totally, dude.
and it made it. And for us not being a clean and sober motorcycle club, right?
Yeah.
Being an outlaw motorcycle club and being held to a standard, it made it a lot easier for me. And most importantly, man, I don't know about coming up for you, but coming up for me, there was a big preface on being the best version of yourself.
Yes.
Which is something I didn't know really. You know what I mean? I was still kind of trying to find out who I was and what it would look like and what my life looked like.
Totally.
So when I got here,
yeah, you were young, man.
I was, and I was on a fucking Sportster, and I was trying to pretend to be something a little bit. You know what I mean?
You were trying to figure it out. You were a young dude whose heart was in the right place, kicking it with the wrong people, I think. You know, you had a new family, you know what I'm saying? And like you were just looking for the right opportunity with the right people.
That's it.
It was there. You weren't actively looking, but like you were looking.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So you prospect and you make it, and then you get a Reno girl pregnant, bro.
I did, dude.
Damn.
Dude, honestly, it's like the best decision I ever made, and I didn't even make the decision. God made that one for me, dog.
Another Californian taking our women.
I did.
You know what I mean?
I came, dude. I like to say like I'm one of the very few men who get lucky in Reno. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro.
Because I did.
You lucked out, dude.
I got a jam, dude.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
The best.
Shout out to Spiros, bro. We miss you.
The biggest blessing in my life, like this woman, like gave me a family, dude. Yeah. She gave me like what I had been seeking, you know, for forever, and like I'm just forever beyond grateful for how that all worked out. And that was another one of those instances where like God will show you the way if you're open and receptive, like to what you're supposed to do, right? When she called me, and I was living in Sacramento still, we were having a long distance relationship, and when she called me and told me she was pregnant, there was no hesitation about anything. My whole life was going to change forever. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I had no clue what it was going to look like. I didn't know how it was going to work. I didn't know financially how I was going to do it with the club. I didn't know how that was going to work. And I told her like, I'm fucking beyond stoked, and I can't wait to move down there and be a dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as long as like this is what you want too, like that, then let's do this, right?
Yeah.
And we did, and guess what? Like everything fucking worked out, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way better than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah. No, that's real. I have this this question I wanted to ask you right here, and it's when you had a group of new prospects, including me.
Yeah.
We were all looking up to you. You had, I think at one time we had 6 prospects and just you.
Yep.
How did you approach mentorship, and what was your philosophy to guiding all of us, not just in the club, but just being quality men?
I think I felt a lot of I felt a lot of pressure to walk the walk.
Yeah.
Instead of talking the talk.
Yeah. You did that well.
I knew that you guys were watching me.
Yeah.
Not like a father figure or anything like that, but like as I'm representing what I'm hoping for you guys to want to be a part of, right?
Yeah.
So I have to show you what I want this to look like for here. So that's a culmination of my experience in Sacramento, Shasta County, other areas.
Yeah.
The experience I gained of things that I liked, things that I didn't like, all of that stuff. What do I want Reno? What did I want Reno to look like? Who do I want these men to be? And how are we gonna gauge? Like, how are we gonna gauge the quality of men that we bring around here, right?
Yeah.
The way
While
that
also adapting to a totally different community.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And the way that we did that was we didn't put up with no bullshit. Like when something weird happened, we handled it.
Yep.
We called, a dude was coming around and we heard something weird. We called him out on it.
Yeah.
We got to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Another club would call,
Yeah.
hey, this happened. We're not going to talk about it over the phone. We're on our way.
We're on our way.
We're going to go over there. We're going to handle that right now.
Remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We're going to take care of this right now, right here and there. So that way that I call it staying in integrity. So like you're always staying in integrity. When you lose integrity, it's really hard to get back in integrity.
Yeah.
But if you can constantly stay in integrity, that's when you're going to shine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you're not ducking or dodging anybody,
Yep.
you're shining, dude. And you're standing tall.
Yeah.
I'd always tell you guys, like, button your cut up, wear a clean shirt, put some cologne on. I never had to tell you that because you were always looking fly.
Thanks.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But like, stand up tall, chin up, chest out, and look like you're about something, dude.
I literally have it written down right here, bro.
Exactly.
Because I wanted to talk about all your criticisms that we still to this day use, bro. And again, it's not me. I'm just regurgitating what I was taught. You know what I mean? But yeah, that chin up, chest out. And yeah, you would say that. Like, we weren't going to be sloppy, dude. It was so funny because we'd pull up. One of my favorite memories, bro, was when I first made Prospect. It was, we went to another club, a club I love, club we love.
Yeah.
And we were first coming around and we were getting our 1-2s and making sure everybody knew who we were. And you walked in there and it was you and probably, was it 17, 18 guys? And I was like, okay, I'm coming in with you. And you're like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
I'm going in there and this is what it is. And I was like, okay, fuck, bro. Yeah. It was one of my favorite memories, dude. And it's like, you were 7'2" that day, bro. You know what I mean? Yep. And you've been 7'2" ever since, bro. You know what I'm saying? That was a really powerful day for me. And that's how I knew that this was going to be what I wanted that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I knew that I could try to balance both.
Yeah.
But that was one of my favorite memories of you, bro. And then just going to events. And it was like our going out for a ride, bro. And it was you just chilling and 6 of us all just fucking,
I know,
dude, no hands in our pockets and just fucking mugging everybody. Goddamn, I love that, bro.
I felt.
You never had an empty water bottle in your hand
man.
or nothing, bro.
I never had to stand up for too long. My girl never had to walk to the bathroom by herself.
No, dude, yeah.
Nothing, dude. Like it was like I got this whole crew and like I gotta put them all to work.
Right.
So everybody's we'd show up at somebody else's party and
I go on their corner, bro.
I go ask the P like, hey, like my guys need something to do. Where can I put them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they'd be like, all right, take these 2 over here, these 2 over here, these 2 in the back, and then put this guy in the kitchen serving food. I'm like, all right, cool. And it just boom.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
Up, dude.
We were sitting on corners at other people's parties.
Yeah,
bro.
straight up. Hey, we don't have a clubhouse yet, and we ain't having parties yet. But guess what? Like, get to work.
Yeah.
This ain't no free rides around here, dude.
Fuck, dude, I remember that, bro. God damn, that was hilarious.
But like the starting out, like you guys were just a good group. You guys were a good, solid group of men, dude. And like I loved having all of you guys around. And on top of that, because I always wanted to stay in integrity with you men, it forced me to grow a lot too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So knowing that like these dudes are watching and I gotta watch my step always, and I need to always do the next right thing. And what I expect of them is the things that I need to do. I can't just tell them what it is. I got to show them what it is.
Totally.
So when those opportunities presented themselves, I seized the moment to like make an experience, right?
Yep.
And to teach you guys how to make an experience for the next guys. Like remember like the dinner we had at my house. I don't know if you recall, but like we had it at dinner and I'm like, I'm going to teach you guys how to make an experience.
Right.
And we got like flowers for our chicks because I was running you guys hard. Yep. You know what I mean? So like, let's make them feel special today.
Yep. And now that's a prerequisite to make member in our club.
Yeah, dude.
To go buy somebody else's old lady flowers.
Yeah. Let's make dinner for these women that put up with all of our bullshit.
Right.
and let's buy them flowers and surprise them and serve them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like doing things like that, like, fuck.
Yeah. No, that's real. And it's fucking exactly what we needed, man. It was another program for living.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it was one thing that you said coming around was everyone that comes around a motorcycle club is probably missing something from their life. And they're trying to fill it with this. And that's why it's inherently positive. You know what I mean? And so that's why we're going to give anybody a shot. As long as their shit's good, we're going to give them a shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, if their paperwork's straight.
And yeah, and we're going to say what's up. So we're going to give these dudes a shot. And so like there's cats that I've had come around that are just they're Boy Scouts when they get here, bro.
Yep.
Come out the other side fucking gangsters, bro. And it's like that's how I know this program works, dude.
I've seen it happen before my very eyes, dude.
Yeah.
You could take
For sure.
You take a kid and you make him a man.
Yeah.
Pretty quick with this stuff, and you teach him how to hold his mud.
Yep.
And you test him a little bit and kind of see where he's at and what he's going to do.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised a lot of times.
Yeah.
For sure. A lot of times they just need an example, I guess, you know?
That's real. And so here's another question I had for you real quick. Looking back, how do you think about being both a club leader and a tattoo artist, as well as somebody in recovery, has influenced the kind of man you've become today? And mostly what I'm really kind of getting at with that is I remember there was a time where we never knew you carried yourself with such grace. We never knew that it was rough on your home life because you just handled it so well. We just didn't know, bro. You know what I mean? And now we can talk about that lovingly because I know it was hard on your home life, bro. Doing that, new kid, new to Reno, and you had so much of these responsibilities and getting pulled in all these places and running a tattoo shop. You know what I mean? It's just, how did that look and did that teach you balance? What does that look like in your life?
Man,
Kind of a candid moment for you, dude.
I really think that was hard. It was hard. It was definitely hard on the home life, but like my wife is like such a gangster, dude.
She is.
Like she put up with so much. Like it was always like we'd wake up, you know, like, well, what are we doing today? And I'm like, well, all the guys are coming over for dinner. They're bringing all their kids and we got to cook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And instead of her being like, what the fuck?
Right.
You know what I mean? She's like, all right, what are we going to have? Let's go to the store. Let's take care of it. She's always just been so amazing in that way that had she not been the way that she is, there was no way that I could have done the things that I did in that time.
Yep.
Not possible, dude.
Yeah.
You know? So like her just showing so much grace, and patience, like was really what made all of that possible because you're right. Like we had my son, we were raising Riley.
Yep.
And boom, here comes Emery, dude.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So we got two littles and my little girl Riley, and we're rocking, dude. I'm learning how to be a dad.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to be like a real husband. I'm learning how to just manage all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it really shows you what you're made of, dude.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like I know what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
But that's a double-edged sword because I know what I'm capable of. So when I'm falling short of that, I beat myself up a lot.
Yeah.
Because I know I can do a lot, you know?
And there's never been a time yet in the club, sobriety, my home life, my company, and my businesses where I've been to that point where I use this as a template in my life and I go, well, I've never been that fucking busy and Chris did it. You know what I'm saying? So I can't fucking sit here and complain. You know what I'm saying? And that's true. It really is a thing in my life in the club. You know, and when you move back to Sac, and it was like,
I remember telling all you guys, and it was,
you're not busier than me, bro.
I remember telling all you guys, none of you motherfuckers are busier than me. You're not. So no excuses. Show up.
Show the fuck up. Yeah.
Oh man, like looking back now, I'm like, what a dick.
You
know what I
mean?
Dick, but like,
we needed it, bro.
It was true.
And that standard, and that line of thinking got us here in this room.
Yeah.
In 4 years.
Yeah.
And not because of anything other than just trying to stay true to that shit. You know what I'm saying? Those kind of thinkings and those Chris-isms, bro. But I have a bunch, bro. I have. It was like, what was the other one you said? Oh man, this is my favorite one that I use all the time. And it was what you'd say was a little bit of mystery would go a long way.
Yep.
And it was like, it was basically just shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Don't,
and then you would say, don't say 10 words when 5 will do. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And those kind of went hand in hand, bro. And it was like, those are things that I live by in my fucking
Yep.
life.
It's
And it was
better to have 4 quarters and 100 pennies.
100%, bro. Al Capone, dude.
Yep.
And that one I still use. And then, yeah, of course, chin up, chest out. And then everybody that comes around is missing something from their life, man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I had one more fucking question. And it was, I have two more questions. What do you think the biggest misunderstanding from outside people, especially in the rooms, think about us being sober and being in a motorcycle club?
I think that's a really good question, dude. I think that there's a lot of people in the rooms who think that because you got sober, that you owe your life to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I don't believe that's true.
I agree.
I believe that because you got sober, you owe yourself the life that you deserve.
Yes.
And whatever that looks like to whatever individual, whether that's joining a motorcycle club, becoming a professional skydiver,
Yeah.
what rodeo,
Yeah.
whatever you feel is going to fill your heart and your time where you feel that you can affect people around you, then that's where you need to be, right? If this is where your heart is drawn, then this is where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
There's no denying that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Otherwise you wouldn't be here. That's God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to those people who may see that and look at it and say, like, how can you do this and that? It's not contradictory. It's not, unless you want it to be.
Totally.
And then it can be. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. And like I've talked about this, it's like, I don't know about right now, but if right now somebody called me a bitch to my face, I'm gonna punch him. I don't know if I'll ever be sober enough where that's not the case. But I fucking hope so, bro. You know what I mean? Maybe someday it won't affect me, but
I don't know, dude, because I'm in the same boat, man.
Yeah.
We didn't get here to be doormats.
Totally, bro.
I'm a man.
Yeah.
I
don't know why, but this is my producer, John. John, this is
What's up,
Chris.
John? How you doing, man?
And I got through the book and we got to that part where it's like we're all God's children, that part. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Fuck, dude. That was like, it got me kind of pumped. Like I wanted to go, I don't know, go do something. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And I love that part because it's just like, that's real. You know what I mean? That's not an excuse by any means to go beat people up, but I'm just saying that's like,
No,
it
yeah.
definitely made me feel like, no, we're not doormats.
We're not.
Fucking-
And we can do anything we want.
Yeah.
You know, you can do anything you want and be sober. One of my earlier sponsors, Jeff, was a career bartender.
Yep.
Dude, sober for years and years.
Yep.
Worked a rad program, dude. Career bartender.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so if he could do that, why couldn't you do that? We do this, you know?
My last question, this is asked from a lot of the dudes in the club, and this is a running theme among dudes that have gotten tattooed by you, especially dudes in the club.
Yeah.
Do you intentionally make tattoos from members and prospects of Back from Hell hurt fucking more?
Dude.
Because I'll talk to Samantha and I'll talk to other people and they're like, he's got such a soft hand. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Here's the thing about the guys in the club.
And I also hate getting tattooed, bro. I'll be real.
The thing about the guys in the club is that you guys always get fucked up spots tattooed. It's not that like I'm hurting you worse. It's that you're getting the worst spot tattooed.
Okay, check.
You're getting your back or your face or your fucking rib cage or your arms. Like that shit is gonna hurt no matter who does it, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
I would never intentionally like bring it to somebody to like see what they're made of like
No,
that.
I know.
No, you
But
know
it
what I'm
is the
saying?
theme because I'll talk to guys and I'll talk to them like, nah, fucking, I think he was pushing harder, bro.
Nah,
I think his needle was like out a little more, dude. You know what I mean?
No, it ain't that. But I will say, like, I'm not light-handed and I'm not heavy-handed. I got that sweet spot right in the middle, dude.
Yeah.
Because a tattoo, to look good in 10 years, it's got to be in there a certain kind of way.
And it's also a traditional thing too,
It's
right?
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
A black and gray tattoo is going to feel a lot softer than a traditional tattoo.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah, that's what it is, bro. Probably. Dude. Yeah, he said puts rubbing alcohol in his grave. The most, besides the obvious, and I guess besides the two most obvious, what is one of your favorite books that you've ever read that maybe changed your line of thinking?
Oh my God, dude. That is a rad question.
We're going to put it in the bio if you like it. Besides my book, bro. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
So far.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say I'm gonna say like the big book and the Bible aside.
I knew you were going to say. That's why I said those two. I knew you were going to say the big
those
book
are
and the
given.
Bible.
Those
Okay.
are givens,
Right.
Like both of those books, like I draw a lot of like inspiration and power from on a daily basis. As a young man, The Outsiders, the book The Outsiders, I read that book and I instantly felt like I was a part of something that I couldn't explain. I grew up like poor on the wrong side of the tracks type kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it like that book like perfectly explained like the differences between people and we're this and they're that and they're never going to see things our way and we're never going to see things their way and like I felt a part of that story, right?
Yeah.
In a weird way, you know?
Absolutely.
And like Pony Boy's like he's part of this rough crowd and he's a rough kid, but he's also sensitive.
Yeah.
You know, he's a sensitive artist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he's like living in a tough world and you got to be fucking tough. And I related to that.
Yeah. It's a lot of people think the gold themes on my motorcycles come from because I'm a gypsy.
Yeah.
And you can think that, and it's probably part of that, but really it's because in jail I read The Outsiders.
Yep.
And I got to that part and I felt like a little bitch because I fucking cried at that fucking part reading that book when they're talking about staying gold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Never stop looking at sunsets, dude.
That's it, bro. So I literally got out. I tattooed that shit on my knuckles, and I was like, that is gonna be a positive theme I'm gonna try and carry. You know what I mean?
Totally.
In my life, because that was the one that made me at that time feel the closest to something bigger than myself.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And truly, like, that's a great answer. It's probably one of the best books that we've heard so far. Is there another one?
Yeah, the second book. And this is a hard one because I've read a lot of like inspirational stuff. I've read Think and Grow Rich, which is a really rad book that the term PMA, positive mental attitude, was coined by the band The Bad Brains, right?
Okay.
Those guys were avid followers of this teaching, Think and Grow Rich. So it's basically a book that teaches you about manifestation and how to execute a plan. So like basically like you come up with a thought, your thought becomes a plan, your plan becomes action, action becomes results. So reading that book like changed the way that I thought about how to get shit done in my life, whatever that looks like. You know what I'm saying? And when I apply those principles in my life, I get results.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that book changed the way I look at a lot of things. But so I'm okay, I added another book, whatever. But
yeah,
the number 2 book,
there's a book for every time of your life.
Dude, for sure. The most recent book that I read that really I felt changed my perspective on a lot of things and opened my eyes to a lot of things was actually The Four Agreements. I can't remember the name of the author. He's got a lot of books out, but The Four Agreements, it's a really, really simple read. And it just teaches you about like simple things that you can add into your life or take out of like your daily living that will like drastically like improve your quality of life, how you feel about others and how you feel about yourself.
Okay.
You know, it's like the first agreement is like be impeccable with your word. So like mean everything you say.
Yes.
You know, you don't need to come off with all kinds of crazy banter and like every word that comes out of your mouth has power, right? The word abracadabra means like speaking something into existence.
Got it.
So like everything that you say, like you're speaking into existence.
Right.
So be careful what you say. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So that's just the first agreement, you know, and then take nothing personally, you know, it's just like all that kind of stuff. Like it impacted me to the point where I read that book 3 times in a row.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's not a big book, so it's not super impressive. Like I read this crazy book 3 times. I finished the book. I flipped it over. I started reading it again.
Wow.
And the third time
I've never done that.
Me either. The third time I read it, I understood it on a different level than I did the first time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So good killer reads.
I just got done with, have you ever heard of the book Dr. Sleep? It's by Stephen King.
No.
Okay. It's the sequel to The Shining.
Oh.
And this is Stephen King sober.
Okay.
And so little Danny in The Shining is now an adult and he's got the same disease as his dad, Jack, from The Shining.
Yeah.
And he gets sober and he finds the rooms. And it's just kind of a cool story. He's also still got The Shining. He's still psychic and stuff, but there's a lot of sober entendre.
Trip out. I mean?
It's a fucking
I'm going to have to check that out, man.
It's really cool. It's just fictional, but it's really good. Yeah, that one was really cool. You know what I mean? Then the last question is, there's dudes out there that are going to hear this that'll never know where the rooms are. What are your advice to a cat that might be struggling in their spiritual deficiency, however that's manifested, whether that's drugs, alcohol, women, or like us, all of the above, bro? You know what I mean?
I think just like I said in the beginning, we need spirits, right? You're putting something in your body to make you feel different because you got a God-sized hole in your heart and you're trying to fill it. And the only thing that works is drugs, alcohol, women, gambling, like whatever that vice is that's ruining your life. And at some point it stops working. And then you're just an empty shell of the person that you used to be.
Yep.
You still need spirits.
Yep.
So you got to take that stuff out. You got to call on a power greater than yourself.
Yep.
To restore you to sanity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That none of this works without God. However you want to take that, none of it works without God.
Yeah. And buy a Harley.
And you got to get a hog.
Yeah.
And a bad bitch.
Yeah. It definitely.
Who's gonna stand by your side?
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. I can't believe I sold that Dyna, bro. I did. I had to, but I just never rode it. But
They come and go, dude.
I know, but I just didn't think I was gonna be.
That was a beautiful machine, dude.
It was,
You
man.
put the love
Yeah.
and attention that you put into that machine. That was your machine, dude.
Yeah.
Like when you rode that bike, that was like an extension of you, dude.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I cried that
Yeah,
night
I bet.
when I came and got it. And
I
it
bet.
was like, it's not that I even needed them. It was just like, I wanted to have the extra little bit of money, bro.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? And I was
yeah.
just like, now it's just like, I won't have like a less than a certain amount of money in my bank account. Also
Yeah.
something you taught me, bro,
Yep.
was to kind
Yep.
of stay on top of it.
Stay
You know
on
what I
top
mean?
of it. Yeah.
And, but it was just like, I seen that thing go and I just like thought all back to my program and building that thing. And I was just thinking about that before I got here was, I remember the first time I built it. For those of you who don't know, that dyno you don't know it, but it started as a wide glide.
It was. It sure as fuck
And
was.
it was like, and the wide glide is like the Sun Valley of Harleys. You know what I'm saying? So, and I had fucking 2-in-2 pipes
Yeah.
and goddamn like karaoke.
It's fun, but you don't
bags,
want your
bro.
friends to see you ride it.
Yeah. It's like dating a fat chick, dude. You know what I mean? Having a wide glide, bro. And then I spent a lot of money to make that thing no longer a wide glide. And at the end you didn't know.
Nah.
That
bike was killer.
Yeah, and but it was crazy because I ended up when it was done, it was like this is when Chris would be like, "Oh, that's a close style machine, man."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
It was a beautiful thing.
but well, Chris, I really appreciate you being here, bro. Thank you for coming out. We fucking sure miss you in Reno a lot. I know that you're home. I know that in my heart, and that makes me fucking happy.
I miss
But
you
I
guys.
love you, bro. And
I think about you guys all the time, man.
yeah, and everything that happened and your legacy, you have no idea. You're sitting in it, bro. You know what I mean? This is your legacy, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, man. You fucking start 2 charters, and that's a beautiful thing, man.
Hey,
So
we're all part of the stream.
yeah,
We all contribute something to the stream, and once you do, you're part of the story,
yeah, that's right.
and that doesn't go away.
Yeah, and I'll end with one of the favorite things I've ever heard you say, which is, God gets the glory, and we get the grace.
Oh, yeah.
And every time I think about that, I get a little more humble every time I hear it. So thank you for everything you've done for me, specifically the guys that are around us, and just being a dude that we can look up to. You know what I mean? And also that kind of sucks because my wife's always like, "What would Chris fucking do right now?" You know what I mean? I'm like, "Fuck,
Oh my God,
damn."
dude.
You know what I mean? So, just kidding. I love you, baby. Anyway, thanks so much for being here, bro.
Hi,
Thanks,
man.
dog.
Love you, bro.
Love you, dog.